Productions. Proudly presents the life and times of Matthew Grizzly Feldman. This is Liza Feldman. I'm filming a documentary about Matthew Feldman in honor of his 30th birthday. So I've asked a few people to talk about him. Excuse me, what can you tell me about Matthew Feldman?
Is he still alive? I can't believe he's only 30 years old. I think he was a very underrated yet brilliant actor. His talents were completely underutilized. I was especially moved by his performance in that Mel Brooks movie, Young Frankenstein.
Excuse me, but I think you're talking about Marty Feldman. This film is about Matthew Feldman. He lives in New Jersey, works as a computer programmer. Never been in a Mel Brooks movie.
Never heard of him.
I've learned a lot from Matt over the years. Never settle for the wrong person. Always look on the bright side. But the most useful thing Matt ever taught me was this.
Matt's a great dancer. I'll never forget the first time we danced. It was fantastic. Until he dropped me on the floor and I got a bruise on my left bum. I wanted to keep the bruise forever, so I will always remember that special night.
But I thought that he did that to Marla.
Yes, you are right. That was Marla.
The year was 1958. I got down on my knee and I asked Arlene to accept my hand in marriage. And she said that she would, under one condition, that we have 3 children, Mitchell, Liza, and Matthew.
This is the view of downtown Albany from the roof of my building. Albany is where Matthew spent his years in college. Oops.
Excuse me? What are you doing up here?
I was just making this film for Matt Feldman. Do you know him?
Matt Feldman. Isn't he the bass player for Hemorrhoid Bingo?
Uh-huh.
Is this video for him?
Yes, it is.
You kick ass. And you can stay on the roof. I'm just gonna go downstairs. I don't know about this.
Thanks.
You're awesome. I have all your CDs.
The first time I met Matt, we were in this bar. He folded up a $1 bill into a ring and gave it to me. I kept it very close to my heart.
Wow. Can I see that?
No, it's been surgically implanted. I'll never forget that magical night of passion we shared along the banks of the Seine in Paris.
But Matt has never been to Paris.
Oh, I must be thinking of someone else.
Hi, I'm Linda Travis, and I'm here to tell you about a special introductory offer I have for you called Maddie's Greatest Hits. Since I'm his #1 fan, I have all his records, and I've put together a wonderful compilation that you can purchase for $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Some of the tracks include Odd Shop, with musical accompaniment by Keith Solomon, Yodel, which is a wonderful romantic soliloquy, Burp, Woof 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 with the K9 Rappers, and that's for nothing. And if you want for something, you got to take this offer. So call now at 1-800-LOVE-YOU-HUN. Happy birthday, Maddie.
Last summer, I was at Point Pleasant Beach with Liza and Matt, and this girl started choking on the beach. Matt pulled out a straw and a Swiss Army knife out of his pocket and performed a tracheotomy right there on the spot. I just stood and watched in amazement.
I was at Coles in Belmar, and this guy kicks me in the butt, so I turn around, and, I want to kick him. And he says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was Matt Feldman." So I let it go. It was.
Matthew, I'll never forget that magical night of passion we shared together in the banks of Paris.
But Matt has never been to Paris.
Oh, then I must be thinking of someone else.
Matthew loved apple juice. In fact, every night he would go to sleep with a bottle of apple juice. And it was my third chocolate, but I still didn't know that it's not a good idea to rest a child with apple juice. What happened was, after he fell asleep, the apple juice would, the remainder would remain in his mouth, and it turned out that his teeth started running. I saw these green spots on the front of his teeth. So I took him to Dr. Durst, and they had a very long relationship, by the way, Dr. Durst and Matthew. And Dr. Durst took out his 4 teeth. Okay, and of course what it did is it gave him a very unique personality. He used to ham it up. They used to take his tongue and push it forward, and he just would make a whole scene out of those missing teeth. And it was adorable.
I was at this bar on the Jersey Shore. I think it was Paul's. Some guy kicked me in the ass, and at first I was pissed off, but he explained that he thought I was Matt Feldman, and it was okay, because in that case it's a compliment.
Matt, I'll never forget that night of passion we shared along the banks of the
Matt has never been to Paris.
Oh, who was that hunk?
Mistletoe.
As a young kid, Matthew did not want to learn to ride his bicycle until he was absolutely ready. It took a little while, but then he told me he was ready, and he learned very quickly. And that started some interesting relationships with his bicycle. The first incident occurred when Matthew was pedaling past a bus stop on Seaview and Remsen Avenues. There was a teenager waiting for the bus there, and apparently he grew tired of waiting for that bus because he took Matthew's bicycle. Matthew could not bring himself to come home and report the sad news. Finally, over 2 hours later, he came home crying bitterly and told us what happened. I pointed out to Matthew that if he had sounded the alarm immediately, we might have had a chance to get the bicycle back, but now it was too late. Matthew's second bicycle incident occurred in Seaview Park. He was pedaling his bicycle, and a friend of his was pedaling his own bicycle. And 2 teenagers from out of the neighborhood approached them and took their bicycles away from them. Matthew and his friend gave chase as the 2 teenagers were pedaling furiously away. They sounded the alarm immediately. Stop! Thief! As Matthew and his friend left the park running after these 2 kids, they came to a police car, and they went to the police and told them what happened. The police radioed ahead. These 2 thieves were nabbed, and the bicycles were eventually returned.
Yeah, when Matt was a little kid, he never liked to wear clothes or anything like that. We used to call him Naked Horatio. As a matter of fact, even back then I wrote a song about him. It used to go something like, Naked Horatio, he is so funny, his something, I don't know, something about Mexico. But I forgot the words, but I just remember there was something like that there. As a matter of fact, you know what? Hang on a second. Matt, you see, this is what Liza's forcing me to do, see? Every one of us, Liza taught you through this, so you know your sister loves you. Okay, just like the way I do, and so does Look. I'm out of breath already from the thing here. In any case, I just wanted to tell you we love you. Happy 30th birthday. Glad you lived this long, and I hope you continue living for another 30 or 60 or 100 years. And Liza's laughing now, so I've done my job, and that's it. Cut.
Matthew's third bicycle incident also occurred in Seaview Park. He and another friend were pedaling their bicycles in the park when 2 teenagers from Starrett City approached them and took away their bicycles. And these teenagers started pedaling very fast through the park. Matthew and his friend immediately gave chase. Again, they sounded the alarm. Stop. Thief. There happened to be some Canarsie teenagers playing football in the park. Now these teenagers were the kinds of guys who might very well steal Matthew's bicycle. However, darn if they would let some out-of-neighborhood kids do that. They gave chase. They caught one of these fleeing thieves. The one with Matthew's bicycle was too far ahead. However, the one that they did catch was beaten up. In fact, I can tell you when I saw this kid in the police precinct later on, that he was beaten to a bloody pulp. Anyhow, Arlene and I came on the scene, and we were talking to all these kids, and Michael Nispel came up with a wonderful idea. He decided that the kid with Matthew's bicycle would not keep that bicycle because it could be held as evidence against him. So Michael decided that Matthew's bicycle would be in the bushes several blocks beyond the park. So we went over to those bushes, and sure enough, there was Matthew's bicycle. I guess we waited long enough to talk about Matthew's bar mitzvah. Those who are familiar with Sunday morning services at a synagogue will know that they take several hours. However, the bar mitzvah boy's portion is very small, only a matter of minutes. However, the boy does practice for those minutes extensively. When Saturday services started on that very memorable Saturday, the rabbi just decided to give Matthew the full responsibility of leading the entire services, not just his own portion. And he did so magnificently. In fact, when the services were completed, my mother could not stop felling.
And this is Mother. This is Grandma Feldman and Poppy Feldman, two of the fellas. And I'd like to show Poppy Growler and Grandma Growler, okay, who are quelling too. I'll give you an example how proud my father was of Matthew. Understand that my father wanted very much to be at Matthew's bar mitzvah. He was very, very sick. In fact, he passed away 3 months later. Immediately after this ceremony, the bar mitzvah, he wrote this letter to Matthew, and I'll try to read it. Dear Matthew, we want to congratulate you on your bar mitzvah. Also on the way you davened. Surprise, surprise, you were just great. 3 exclamation points. I have heard older men before, but you were head and shoulders
Alongside them. Everything considered, it was a great morning for Grandma and myself. The rabbi also was very proud of you, the way he spoke to you. Also your parents, who were very happy. It was indeed a great day. We want to wish every possible good luck to you. Love to you, Grandma, Grandpa Growler.
Okay. They were also quelling at Mitchell's bar mitzvah. I wanted to show you how Matthew looked at Mitchell's bar mitzvah without his teeth. Remember I was telling you about his teeth? There he is, a cute little thing. I don't know, how old was Matthew at that time?
Matthew, in 1978, was 8 years old.
This is Matthew and the bar mitzvah boy Mitchell. And this is Matthew with Liza Gow.
Hi, this story involves lingerie. Hi, my first memory of Matthew is when I was 14. I always had a taste for lingerie, and I knew Matthew was the one to help me pick out the appropriate outfit. Even back then, Matthew had very sophisticated taste. So sophisticated, so sexy, that I still wear what he picked out 20 years later.
Preparing Matthew's favorite food, fried chicken. It's really very simple. You just have chicken breast thinly sliced. You dip it in the egg with the left hand, put it in the breadcrumbs, and turn with the right hand so that you don't bread your fingers. You only want to bread the chicken cutlet. You want to use ronzoni or progresso, breaded, Italian breaded breadcrumbs. So, then you fry it until it's nice and brown and whatever, and they're great. Monty likes it with, what is this?
Russian dressing?
Russian dressing. Oh, wait a second. What is it that we have here? Oh my God, remember the teeth? Oh, I got some chicken crunchies in here. There they are. The 4 teeth that Matthew had pulled from drinking too much applesauce. Juice.
We used to all go trick-or-treating together as kids. We knocked on every door in Canarsie. After a while, Matt would get tired. He'd sit on the pavement and ask someone to carry him. We would just walk away.
When we were kids, us girls would play this refrigerating game. We would put some food in each other's hands, and we would have to tell what it was by touch, smell, and taste. Matthew would always beg us to play, so one night we let him play, and we put some Pepto-Bismol in his hand, and he got so annoyed, I don't know why, but he chased us around the house with a knife.
I don't remember this, but at his bris, my cousin Cherise put a wacky wafer in his mouth. And then my cousin Mitchell took out a straw and a Swiss Army knife and performed a tracheotomy right on the spot. I just stood there and watched in amazement because, Mitchell was only 6 years old at the time.
And now for something completely different.
When my Matthew walks into the door, it's like he's bringing in the breath of spring into me. Ow! My shoulder's killing me! Now, do I have to continue with my story?
Yes.
Well, to begin the story, my Matthew is the youngest of my grandchildren, and he was a tag-along. And wherever the other kids went, he tagged along. And the other kids, the bigger kids, didn't want to take him because he was too little. He was killing the day for them. Whatever they wanted to do, he wanted to do. And he used to get tired, and they get tired of him. And me, I stick in my 2 cents. There he go, you go, there he goes. Then he started kindergarten. And when he started kindergarten, he was in a little show. And he was the star in my eyes. Then he went to school. He got through with public school. Then he went into high school. And then he went into college. And then he got a job in Jersey. And that's where he met his light of love. And now, and now he's engaged to be married, and my little family is slowly increasing, and that's my love of my life, all my grandchildren, my interests, and I wish you'd take that camera off of me because my shoulder is killing me. Oh!
I remember you were about maybe 3, I know Matthew was 6 months old, and I had that little 3-room bedroom, and he was laying in it, and I felt it was time to get his bottle ready, and I left to the kitchen, to warm up his bottle, and I heard him screaming. I figured, well, he's crying because he wants his bottle, so I got it ready, I put it in there, I looked in the bassinet, and you're standing right before him, and he has one of those decorates on his clothes on it, and I said, oh my God. I thought that he was going to flip it over and choke to death. I pulled it out and I saved his life. It was you.
I don't remember that ever happening. I think it was Kim. Me? Yeah. It was me. I did it. I confess. It was me.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
I played my first game of chess with my cousin Matt, and I beat him really bad, and he cried.
Matthew, when Matthew was younger, he hated clothing. Everyone knew that about him. Every chance he had, he would run around the house naked, and in front of the more people, the better. So I remember one day in Uncle Ronnie and Eileen's house, there was more people than I've ever seen before packed into that house. I forgot what it was. It was either
Passover?
It was probably Passover, or it was something for Mitchell, maybe a party for his, I don't know, bar mitzvah or something. Who the hell knows, or something like that. The point is that I was never into doing anything like that. So the point was that Matthew convinced me to go streaking with him one day, and so we both got butt naked and ran around the house like lunatics, and I embarrassed the hell out of my mother, and he was just right at home. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that he was the one who started me on my road to doing all different and exciting things. So I gotta thank Matthew for making me the daredevil I am today.
Our first Halloween party, what a success. We decorated that apartment, scared the hell out of everybody who walked in that place. It took us about 2 weeks to set up. It was like a horror show. It was insane. We had 60 people over, everybody else. It was great, you know. It's the best times, man. You're the best roommate I ever had, and it's great times together.
Let me know when. Okay, a little Matthew story. I remember Mitchell and I were in the pool in their backyard. Matthew must have been a couple of years old, maybe 2 years old. Mitchell and I like to run around the pool and make a whirlpool in the middle. And all of a sudden there was something chasing us that was spinning around the pool. Matthew pooped in the pool. We had to like really jump right out of the pool. That was kind of scary. Poop following us around the pool.
And now for something completely different.
I'll never forget that magical night of passion in Paris.
But Matt has never been to Paris.
Matt, I thought this movie was about you.
Shut up. Hey, turn it off.
What are you doing?
I'm beating this joke into the ground.
Hey there, Matt. One of my favorite Matt stories goes back to freshman year of college when we lived right next door to each other. I was living with Grover, of course. My life was a living hell living with him. And you were living right next door after your roommate had moved uptown and your other roommate had almost committed suicide and almost barbecued the whole building down. And one day we were in my room and we heard a little noise coming through the radiator. And you and your partner in crime, Keith, had convinced Grover and I that there were mice running through the radiators. And we were a little concerned. And then you saw that you said you saw vermin and all sorts of plague and pestilence on the mice running through the radiators, and we were really concerned that we were going to get all sorts of crazy diseases. And it went on all day, and it was one of the funniest moments we had, and we were all cracking up about it afterwards. Might not sound as funny right now, but at the time, it was hilarious. Anyway, that's one of my earliest and funniest recollections of you.
The story I'm going to tell is of the first time that I met Matt. Matt, you already know this story. I've told you a bunch of times. We were moving in to campus. First day, I was moving in with my parents. And my parents noticed this guy moving in down the hall. Long hair, big boots, all dressed in leather, chains, handcuffs. I don't even know what he had. And my mom said to me, she said, don't ever, ever hang out with that guy. Don't stay away from him. He looks real tough. He looks like he's from Brooklyn. He's real tough. And little did I know all these years that my mom was right and I never should have hung out with him ever. Matt, talk to you later. Bye.
Hey, Matt. I remember the first time I ever met you was in college. We were both freshmen, and we were going around the pit the first time, and we were going around the circle, and everybody was introducing themselves. And, you know, I said my thing, and Clint said his thing, and Chris McPhee said his thing. Actually, Chris wasn't there, so Chris didn't say anything. But it got to you, and you had this, like, 8-foot-long hairdo at the time, and everybody was really scared of the way you looked. But anyways, he got up to you, and you said, my name's Matt. I like speed metal, and I'm really smart. That always cracked me up. There was another funny story that I was thinking about you the other day. Was when you and I turned Al and Gary's room upside down. And when Al and Gary came back, they were a little perturbed by it. But the funniest thing about all that was you took that Alf doll and hung it from the ceiling and said something like, help, they're holding me hostage. So.
What do you think your life would be like if you had never met Matt?
Well, if I never met Matt, I certainly wouldn't know how to play heart.
Okay, here's a quick story about Matt. It was back in college. We were going to O'Heaney's Tavern, and it's a pretty good story because of the way it kind of transpired. We all went out. It was freshman year. None of us had any kind of proof or any identification. I think Matt had been using his brother Mitch's identification, and for some reason he didn't have it anymore. So Matt was a little inebriated before we actually went out. So by the time we got out, things were a little interesting as it was. But by the time we get to the bar, obviously they're not going to let him in without any proof or ID. So we get up to the bouncer. We're wondering how we're going to talk his way in there. And he pulls out this piece of paper. On the paper, it's got a picture that basically just has a drawn face in pencil, and it says, Mitchell Feldman is 21 years old. And he holds it up to the bouncer. The bouncer looks at him, looks at us, and just gives it back to him, and he goes right inside. Unbelievable.
What do you think your life would be like if you'd never met Matt?
Well, Matt and I both work in computers, so I guess if I ever met Matt, I'd probably be a crack addict or something.
Hi there. So, I don't know if anyone knows this or not, but Matt tends to sleepwalk or wake up in the middle of the night and do some crazy things. And having lived with him, at least in the same room for a couple of years, I got to witness a lot of this. And one night, I was sitting up and doing some homework. He had gone to bed early, and he just sat up in his bed, and he started counting on his fingers like this. And I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and he's going off like this, and he starts talking out loud, but it was making no sense. Gumma, gumma. He's making mumbly noises. And so I got right up close to him, and I'm staring at him, and he's looking at me, and he woke up in the middle of it, and he started to freak out because now, all of a sudden, people are staring at him, and he's like, what's going on? What is this? What is it? And I'm like, you were talking in your sleep. You know, relax, take it easy. And he's like, oh, man. And he, like, rolled over and went back to bed. He got really mad at that the next day.
What do you think your life would be like if you had never met Matt?
Well, not many people know this, but it was Matt who convinced me for a career change, to become a massage therapist. And if it wasn't for him, I'd still be a cashier at Wallbounce.
Another story was this one night. Actually, I didn't witness it, but he told me about it the next day because he woke up in the middle of this too. I got up in the morning, was going to classes, and his comforter and his blanket and pillow were nice and neatly folded up on my side of the room in the corner. So when I came home the next day, I'm like, what was all your stuff doing on my side of the room? And he said he was having a dream that someone knocked on our dorm room door and was asking for donations to the Salvation Army. So he was going to give his blanket and his sheets and his pillow and his comforter to some poor people. And he said he woke up in the middle of the night and folded all his stuff up and put it on my side of the room and went back to bed. And he was freezing all night, but he felt good that he was helping people out. And just one night, I must have been sleeping already. I missed it, but I really wished I saw it because it was pretty funny seeing a pile of stuff on the other side of the room. And that's another crazy story.
What do you think your life would be like if you had never met Matt?
Maybe in a haberdasher, or maybe like a chapeau shop or something. You know, like, what size do you wear, sir?
Little known fact about Matt Feldman. Matt and I were actually supposed to be college roommates at one time. It actually never worked out. Al Fow had a friend who lived uptown. I think his name was Rodney. Rodney was supposed to move downtown. Matt's roommate, who was Uptown Steve, was supposed to move uptown. And then I was supposed to move in from Al's room into Matt's room and become his roommate. If I can follow that much, you'll kind of understand the irony of this whole thing, because from that point on, because it never worked out, I ended up becoming Al's roommate, which worked out great. But Matt didn't work out so great. He had about 27 roommates, all of which were complete psychotics. There was some convict, I don't even know his name, but he was only in the room 2 or 3 times. Then he had some guy who never showed up or was there maybe once. Then he had Stu. Stu decided one day he was going to kick the window out of his dorm room. And we asked Stu why. He said it seemed like the right thing to do at the time, and he ended up barbecuing in the back. So Matt ended up with a bunch of psychotics. And I always wonder what it would be like if me and Matt actually had roomed together. Would I like speed metal? Would Matt be a Bills fan? I guess we'll never know.
Thanks.
One time, Matt and I and a couple other guys, we went out to Hoboken, and we went to the bouncer, and we asked him, is this place any good? And the guy's like, this place is the best, it's the greatest, you're gonna have the best time. $10 to get in. So we all pay our $10, we walk in the place, there is nobody there. Not a soul, nothing. I was like, well, we lost our money too bad, but Matt didn't look at it that way. He said, the guy lied, I want my money back.
So we're like, forget it, you're not going to get it back. So he goes to the bouncer, who's about 2 mats wide and high, said, I want my money back. You said this place was good. Bouncer was like, no, wait, kid, get out of here. It's like, I want my money back. Matt would not stop hawking the guy for this money until finally 4 of us had to drag him off, pull him away. That's why Matt is the most honest man. You can't lie to him.
So we're going to tell a story that's really short, because Liza told it has to be short. But it happened not too long ago. We think this is going to be one of the moments that's going to live in infamy forever, but we want to tell it, even though it wasn't that far back in the past. So where were we?
Matt goes into the bar. And
which bar? We went down
we went to Parker House.
Went to the Parker House. It was a Thursday night.
The place is empty, and they got karaoke going. But Matt gets spoiled. He's like, I'm going to make the most of the night.
Karaoke.
So Matt goes up there, and he decides to sing, what was it, Born to Run? Or?
I don't even know. I think it was Born to Run. It must have been Born to Run, because the 3 of us are up there. We were singing backup for him.
Right. If Matt's doing the lead, you can do the demonstration.
He just starts going crazy. I mean, he's crawling on the floor, he's on his back, people are looking at him, and at one point, he does what I have never seen anyone do in karaoke before. He does the tearaway pants. Now, any of you women who are out there who have been to Chippendales,
ready? You just let it go. 1, 2, 3.
Turns around, puts his back to the audience, and does the tearaway pants in karaoke. Never has been done before in karaoke history.
And great showman that he was, after he was so distraught and tired from his performance, he took this guy's mic and said, thank you very much.
He just dropped it on the floor. He was done, and that was it. He was out of gas, just dropped it on the floor and walked off. Classic Matt moment.
That was the greatest.
We definitely shared a lot of great summers together growing up, although I have to say that as I got older and spoke to a lot of my friends about their summer vacations, you know, my friends would go to Aruba, they would go to Los Angeles, they would go to the Bahamas, whatever. We went to Cape Cod, we went to New Hampshire. I mean, not that exciting, although we definitely had good times when we went up there. And on those vacations, there are, of course, a lot of things that stand out in my mind, but a few things in particular. One, again, I don't know if you remember this, I mentioned this to Liza, and she kind of didn't remember, but it was the chicken rondelay. I remember we were in a car with me, you, Liza, and our family, probably coming back from some mountain or something, that's like all we did on vacations, look at mountains. Driving back to some mountain, and Liza was telling me how you guys eat chicken rondelays. I was like, what the hell is chicken rondelay? I thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. Just thought the name chicken rondelay, it made me crack up. We were cracking up in the car, so the rest of the vacation, we just kept joking around about the chicken rondelay. I think you and I were even calling Liza like a chicken rondelay, and you would tell me how there's different flavors, whatever. And I remember I just could not wait to get home from that vacation to have my mom go out and buy me chicken rondelays. And she did, and they were great. I love chicken rondelays. I haven't had one in years, but they're great. That's definitely one story. But of course, the most famous story, and a story I still talk about all the time, and I still give my father a lot of crap over, is the shrimp tail story. And I'm sure you remember that. You have to remember it. From what I remember, it kind of went like this. And I don't remember if Liza was there. I think maybe she was maybe too old and too cool to go on vacation with the parents and the younger brother back then. But she might have been there, I'm not sure. But I remember you ordered shrimp. You ordered fried shrimp for dinner. And, you know, you were done. I think for the table also we ordered like a side order of onion rings for the table. So when you were done with your shrimp, I think you took two of the tails and you put them together. And you put another one together and started forming this ring. So when you put it all together, it was this ring. And you and I said to each other, why don't you put that ring on top of the onion rings? I mean, you couldn't tell the difference. I mean, the shrimp were fried, the tails were fried. It looked perfect. So I remember you putting it right on top, sitting on top of the onion rings. It looked great. And sitting there, continued to eat. And I kind of forgot about it for a little while. I mean, like 5 minutes later, looking over at you, and you were cracking up. And I thought to myself, what is so funny? And then I look at the onion ring pile, and I notice that ring is missing. And of course, the first person that I think to look at is my father. There he is, munching away, eating the shrimp tail ring. You and I were crying. Everybody else started crying because they had no idea what was so funny. And finally, before my father finished it, we told him to stop eating it. We showed him that he was eating shrimp tails. Of course, he didn't know. But, you know, I look at pictures back then, and boy, I look a little scared with my black parachute pants and my black pleather jacket. But they were definitely some.
And now for something completely different.
So then later that night, we had a little bit more to drink. We ended up at this diner. And Matt wants to order strawberry milkshake because I told him strawberry milkshakes are the best in the diner. He's going to probably claim that to be his own idea. But anyway,
got the shake.
We tried to get the shake. The waitress comes over, sees Matt, or thinks that he is completely bombed, and refuses. Well, he probably was, but refuses to give him a shake. Says, "I'm not giving you a shake." So he sits there and he's like, "Come on, give me a shake." He thought she was just kidding. So they went back and forth for like, I don't know, 25 minutes or something like that. So he doesn't get the shake. And finally she goes, "I'm not giving you a shake." And Matt says,
I'm not giving you a tip.
it's just the way he did it. "I'm not going to give you any tip."
With the biggest smile you ever saw.
So finally he got the shake, didn't drink it because we didn't know what was in it. And then that was the end of the night.
Thank you.
Great.
Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now, the Funk Soul Brother. Right about now, the Funk Soul Brother. Check it out now. Funk Soul Brother, right about now. The Funk Soul Brother, right about now. soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now, funk soul brother. Check it out now, funk soul brother. Right about now,
I heard the elevator. I thought there was going to be some neighbor that's just going to come walking in. That's why we're doing it.
Well, I heard and I was like,
oh, it's so nice.
Oh my God, it's growing so much.
I like it. But I was like, Gary, it's
Hi,
nice
to meet you. But I heard, I'm like, wow, they're being really loud. I'm sure that's them.
My head kind of, see, like, okay, a bunch
Did
of
that
the
sound
friends.
stupid, or did that sound
I think this was good. Yeah.
Okay.
A bunch of the friends are in there. Like, they think that this is all about watching a football game when it's about my movie.
Liza thinks this is all about making a movie, but this is actually about a football game, okay? And this is what we're squeezing in.
So they're watching the football game. My brother's birthday is going to be in November.
All right, I'm heading back.
Do you want to?
So anyway, so they're watching the football game there. Thanks.
Matt, how you doing? Steve Heller, long time no speak. Hope things are going well. From what I understand, this is a big year for you. The big 3-0, turning 30. Heard you got engaged, getting married. Congratulations. Hate to tell you though, it's all downhill from here. You're done. You know, what can you do? No, I'm only kidding. I actually got married 3 years ago. I turned 30 a few months ago. We're getting old. Nothing we could do. You know, what can we say? But we're getting old. But like I said, I hear it's a big year, and I hear things are going very, very well for you. You know, you and I have not seen each other in years. I would say it's at least 10 years. It's kind of crazy. I know you live in Jersey. I do too. We should definitely get together soon. But